Well, hello peaches, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's video, I'm actually talking about something that really affected me for a long time. And as you can see by the start of this video, it was bloating and my gut felt extremely inflamed. I want to talk you through why that was happening, the things I did to change it, and how I feel far less bloated and how I feel better in myself as well. So yeah, let's get into the video, and whilst you're here, don't forget to like and subscribe. So what was happening beforehand? So there's a couple of aspects in my own journey as to when I felt bloated and my gut wasn't 100%. And the first stage of this was when I was near on the beginning of my fat loss journey, and I was eating in a calorie deficit. I was training 4 times a week. I was still like lean, but I would get this extreme amount of bloating and just like felt puffy, and just my gut felt really uncomfortable. So that was near on the beginning part of my journey. And then recently, in this recent fat loss phase that I've been doing, there's still been a little bit of bloating here and there with that one. So that's kind of what I'm going to explain in these two scenarios. Now, don't get me wrong, as I said, I wasn't like overweight or anything. I just felt uncomfortable. So in the first scenario, like when I was bloated in the early on stages of my first ever fat loss journey, I felt incredibly bloated, like discomfort. I looked like I was pregnant. Like, it just was so uncomfortable, and I was so confused as to why that was happening. And then recently, the bloating that had been happening towards the beginning of this one, it wasn't as bad. It just felt like, oh, sometimes I'd go to bed and just feel a little bit uncomfortable. So they were the two different times. I'll try and see if I've got any photos or anything like that I can post around the screen to kind of show that. But usually in those moments, me personally, I just don't think I took photos because I was like, oh, I just feel uncomfortable. I just don't even want to see that. But yeah, that's basically what had happened. And I want to explain the things that I did to stop that from happening and the things that helped me. So the first thing that I changed, especially that first time, and this made such a huge difference. So the first thing I changed was my protein intake. Now, you probably think I'm going to sit here and tell you that I ate more protein and that stopped my bloating. No, actually, roles reversed. I lowered my protein and that stopped my bloating. So there's so many coaches out there that are like, push your protein up, eat more protein, which I'm all for. Like, don't get me wrong, like, protein is the most satiating macronutrient, and it is so important when it comes to fat loss. However, too much of it isn't bad for you, but it had a bad effect on my body. So what I was doing was I was trying to eat around 160 to 180 grams of protein per day. I'm only 5'4", and at the time I weighed probably about like 58, 59 kilos. I did not need that amount of protein, but I was eating a lot of protein, whereas now I only eat around 110 to 120 grams of protein per day. And look, the gains are still here. They've not gone anywhere. So I definitely didn't need that amount. So if someone's trying to force you to overeat on protein and you're feeling extremely bloated from it, you don't need to eat that much protein. I would just try to aim to get in around 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal. As soon as you start trying to do like 50, 60 grams of protein, breakfast, lunch and dinner, and then snacks as well, it might just be really hard for your body to break down the protein, so that in turn you're just getting extremely bloated from it. So that is the first thing. The next one is pretty similar in terms of protein, but it was processed protein. And what I mean by this, now I'm not saying cut out all processed protein foods, because I still have some, but I was eating an extreme amount of protein, obviously to try and get in this 180 grams, but I was basically doing like protein powder in my oats for breakfast. I would then try to have a protein shake, I would have a protein bar, I would also try to put protein in my yogurt in the evening, or if I wasn't doing that, it would be like a protein pudding or something. So the amount of processed protein that I was eating to try to get this 180 grams was crazy. Even if I would try and do that to hit my 120 grams and wasn't getting like protein from whole foods, I would still get that bloated feeling. Because again, I'm not saying processed protein is bad, because everything in moderation, but mine was so far from moderation. It was because the thing with the processed protein, it's got so many like things that are going into it which were affecting my gut, and that could be affecting your gut too. So I would definitely say try to get your protein from whole foods as best as possible for majority of your diet. For example, for breakfast, I will have 2 eggs on a slice of sourdough with some chicken sausages or turkey bacon or smoked salmon or something like that. That will be my breakfast. My lunch, I will have maybe some protein oats, but that will be my one source of processed protein for the day. And that's kind of not a rule, but sort of a rule that I give myself is if that day I wanted a protein bar, then I wouldn't have the protein oats. If I had the protein oats, then I wouldn't have a protein bar, just because I know if I have too much of that stuff, it's not going to sit well with me. So then for lunch, I'd have that, and then for dinner, something like chicken, pasta, chicken rice, chicken tacos, whatever it may be. And then maybe after, I might have a Greek yogurt bowl, like fage, or like kefir, like yogurt, protein yogurt that's not got, it's like all natural. So that would kind of be how my day would look in terms of protein. So yeah, that's number 2. Number 3, sorry, this piece of hair is really annoying. Like, this is my natural hair and it's like, anyway, number 3, and this is the one that I was talking about that I've done in my recent fat loss journey, was cut down on sweeteners. So I have a major sweet tooth, and I was having like 3 to 4 sweeteners in my coffee. I know, don't judge me, really bad. 3 to 4 sweeteners in my coffee. Then I was having a Diet Coke a day. I was having sugar-free squash. I was having, sometimes I'd have like sugar-free like syrups and stuff and bits like that. And across the day, I would be having that. I'd probably have like 2-3 coffees a day, or even like sweetener in my tea, then the sugar-free squash, the Diet Cokes, and I was having that every day. And I came to a realization that I was like, I'm all for everything in moderation, and that wasn't moderation. So what I did, and this was really hard and I really struggled with this, I actually just tried to cut down. I didn't go cold turkey with it because I still enjoy a little bit here and there. So rather than having 3 sweeteners in my coffee, I've now cut down to having 1. Rather than having a Diet Coke every day, I'll have one maybe like once a week. Rather than having like squash every day, I'll have a natural like electrolyte that's like filled with, that's like natural flavorings, that's not got like sweeteners and things in it. I've switched to having honey, and it's those things that like was hard, don't get me wrong, because I was like having them, but it's definitely made me feel a lot better, even just like the 1%. Now I'm not saying that you have to do this, but it definitely worked for me, and it's allowed me to kind of find a bit of moderation with it. So yeah, that is the 3rd thing. So the 4th thing is I increased my fibre intake. So fibre is something really important, and so many coaches and PTs talk about you've got to get your protein and calories in, but one of the main things that's really important is your fibre. So our fibre helps with our digestion, it helps us go to the toilet, and it's really important. So I increased my fibre intake gradually, may I say. I didn't go from 0 to 100. So how I've increased my fibre is by adding things like chia seeds to my yogurt, or I've been having more kiwis, more pears, more apples, things like broccoli, and they've really been allowing me to have a better digestion. I won't go too much into the details of that, but that's definitely something I would highly recommend that you do. The daily intake that we should be hitting around is like 25 to 30 grams per day, and I think most people probably hit like under 15 grams, but that can just make such a huge difference. So I would highly recommend you try increasing your fibre, and even if you just think about adding like one thing within each meal that's going to increase your fibre, it can help. So to kind of wrap up on those 4 things, I would definitely say like eating healthy and eating as much protein as possible isn't the thing that's going to get you to where you want to be. Yes, it's an improvement from where you may have been if you were eating like lots of sweet treats, etc. all the time, and now you switched to having more protein meals. That's great. But if you're at a point in your journey where you're looking to see those last little bit of changes, these are the 1% things that are going to help you. Now, I'm not saying that if you follow these 4 things that I've done, you're going to see an absolute transformation overnight, because it is about calories in versus calories out. If you are looking to lose body fat and tone up, like that's the important thing here. But if you're one of those people that's towards the end of your journey and you're wanting to see those last little changes in your physique, these are going to be the things that aid you towards that and help you towards that. So yeah, that is my advice on that. You definitely don't need to be overdoing it on protein. If you're struggling to get it in, just think simpler is better. Protein with each meal, and build up from there. Getting in your fibre. Maybe if you're feeling like you're kind of addicted to like sweeteners, or you have a lot of them, maybe see if there's little changes that you could cut back on them. Like, don't have to go cold turkey, but like, can you drop down to 1 sweetener rather than having sugar-free syrup in your coffee? Could you just try to have like half an amount of sugar-free syrup, like 1 pump of sugar-free syrup in there? Like, it's just those little changes that are going to make a difference over time, not straight away, over time, that's going to help you. I think as well, it's also important that you want to trial things that work for you. Now, these are the things that personally worked for me, so they may not work for you, but I'm only here giving my opinion on something. So definitely trial things. If it works, it works. Stick with it. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's okay. You just find a new route and work from there. But yeah, that is today's video. I hope you found this video useful, and even, it's not about your diet being perfect, but even if it's just like that 1% better, that can make a difference. And listen to your body, listen to what your body needs. But yeah, I hope you found this video useful. If you have come this far in the video, then please comment the word sweet so I know you've watched. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.